All right, let's get real for a second. Are you struggling in order to get your employees or your children to be more independent and to act with more responsibility? Today, I'm going to give you the tools to do just that. Welcome to the next 24 hours, where I'm going to give you real information you can really use to transform your life and work one day at a time. I'll be your host, Curtis Zimmerman. Wow, this is a huge question. And the question is, how do we get our children to think more independently and to take more responsibility moving forward? And we have that same question at the workplace. Well, I got to be honest with you. I hope that you are living the dream today. And today I'm also excited to give you some new ideas and some new ways of thinking in order to answer this question. So here I am in my real life, getting ready to take my oldest son, Noah, off to college. Now remember, I've spoken to probably 1 million college students in my career, but it's the first time that I am going to be the one taking my son and dropping him off on a college campus. Wow, I'm very excited about it. But I also wanted you to know that because I've done so many college appearances and because over the years I have visited so many different campuses and learned so much by talking to the faculty and the staff and parents about some of the challenges facing college students today. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But I also feel like I was able to have some special gifts that my wife and I were able to give my son to prepare him for his college experience, for his first year experience. Here are just a few of the things that I want you to think about as we walk through preparing my son for his college experience. And I want you to also think about how that translates to the way you might prepare somebody in your office, your workplace, to step into a new position, to move up into manager's position, or to C-suite. So the first thing I have to tell you is, if my son is going to struggle, if my son is going to get his first D, if my son is going to try to figure out how he works with his phone to do homework and then turns it off and actually gets a good night's sleep, and he has to figure out that balance, I want you to think about this really carefully now. If your son or daughter is going to receive their first failing grade or struggle with something in a relationship or, really have to navigate getting up on their own in the morning, do you want them to be doing that their junior and senior year while they still live in the house with you so you can help guide them, so you can give them tools, so you can make them understand that it's not the end of the world because you had a failing grade, because you just didn't follow through with something? Or do you want them to be sitting in another city, in a small room, by themselves, and then going through these things that for them will be very traumatic for their very first time? I'm telling you that in order for my son to go to college and feel like he can really go and take it on, I have to allow him to have some things and some issues and some struggles while he's in high school and not protect him from everything around and everything in the world. And what I would say is, if we transfer that to work, what do we tell our employees that say, hey, you know what, I want to be manager. Hey, you know what, I want to go to the next level. I want to take on a new position. Well, what we do is we give them a strategy and we give them a pathway from where they are in the job they have right now. And here are those milestones that you need to hit in order to be fully prepared and fully ready to be the manager, or to be able to move into the C-suite, or to be able to move into somebody who's going to manage many people rather than just the 2 that you manage now. Think of that in exactly the same way about preparing your child that's getting ready to go into high school if they're in junior high, or if they're in high school and they're going to go ahead and go into college. Think of some of those milestones that you want to make sure that they've crossed off the list and they've worked through and you've helped them through and guided them through. What great managers do and what, great leaders do is they don't tell somebody, well, here's what you're going to do to manage, and then stand over them 24/7, making sure they do every single thing right every single second and not allowing them to make any mistakes. And yet we don't use that same criteria. We don't use that same line of thinking with the people we love the most, with our own children. Instead, we do micromanage them. College campuses used to say that, well, some of these parents, they're called helicopter parents. Not anymore. Now they call them Velcro parents. Because they're literally Velcroed to every moment and every single thing that every single student does. And the reason I love speaking on college campuses is because I love to give tools to college students. And, their first couple weeks and their first couple months, it's all about writing the next chapter. It's all about, hey, whatever your past was, however you were and however you acted in the 7th grade, what's great about your college experience is you literally have the opportunity starting today to be anybody you want. Nobody on this campus knows you. That means you can be anybody you want. If you were loud and obnoxious in high school, if you were quiet and didn't really talk to anyone and kept to yourself in high school, you can completely flip that and be that person you always wanted to be starting tomorrow. And there are a few times in your life where you have that kind of opportunity. So I asked him to lean into that person that they always wanted to be. If you didn't quite have the study habits you knew you needed, now's a perfect time to do that. And I say that so lovingly, especially now when I think about in just a few months, my oldest son will be standing or sitting in a new student orientation on some campus listening to their speaker. And I sure hope that he tells my son the same thing, that he can lean into it. I wanted to just take a minute and thank you so much for taking your time to listen to the podcasts. I hope that you're getting something out of them and you're applying them over the next 24 hours of your life for sure. But I also wanted to stop for just a minute and make it perfectly clear that today's podcast means a lot to me, and it's because I've spoken in the college market for the last 15, 20 years, and I have moved away from the college market, even though I have the 6 or 7 schools that have had me year after year. But I really have moved into corporate, and I'm a corporate speaker and author and all of that. But after last year, I had more lines following my new student orientation programs on the few colleges I still did than I've ever had in my career of students wanting to share with me about how broken they were, about how they have tried to hurt themselves, about how they don't have coping mechanisms, about how my program and writing the next chapter and being the star of their life impacted them because they never looked at it that way before. And I had to take a minute to share that with you because I'm getting ready to drop my own son off at college, and him being equipped emotionally is much more important to me than him being equipped with extra credit classes and all of these things that matter. But him being a whole person and being able to cope with the stress of moving away and all of these things, I need to make it clear that there's nothing more important that you can give to your child or a friend or anyone that's getting ready to experience this than that feeling of wholeness. And because of that, next year I am going to try to do as many new student orientation programs as possible, even though I've stepped away from it for years. And it's because I've never seen a bigger need than I see right now on college campuses nationwide. So if you have a friend or a son or a daughter who's about to do that, take some extra time and take them to lunch and just tell them how amazing they are and how the grades don't define who they are, that they're amazing. Just the person that's sitting across from me right now is an outstanding human being. And I think that could go a long way right now. So back to our program, but I just wanted to share that because real life is more important than anything else. And this is all about your real life. One of my most exciting things and one of the things I'm the most passionate about is talking to the parents, because part of new student orientation and part of the problem that students are having on campuses right now is that the parents won't let their kids go off to college. Remember all those meals you didn't have? Remember all the money you've saved? Remember how you talked with a financial planner about being able to pay for your kids' college so someday they can go off to college? Here's the newsflash, parents. Your child went off to college. Leave them alone. I love telling parents that. Boy, do they get excited to see me when I say that. But it's really important that we understand that the longer a child's at college, the less and less the parents should hear from them. And that doesn't mean they don't love them. And it doesn't mean they're not involved. It just means that they're acclimating to their new environment. They're becoming part of something else, another culture, a different kind of thinking, a different way to fill their day. And that's what the college experience is supposed to be all about. So I tell parents, you're allowed to text message twice in a day. That's it. Once in the morning, good morning, son. Good morning, daughter. Hope you're doing well. Hope you got to class on time. Have a great day. Thinking of you. Once at night, well, hi there. Hope you had a great day. Today, this happened. I'll talk soon. Love you. Now, that's the max. That's all you get. Now, of course, if your son or daughter is texting you and they text you 500 times, you get to answer every single one of those texts. But you don't get to keep bothering them. Who are you now? Where are you now? Who are you with? When did you go to the bathroom last? Leave them alone and let them enjoy their college experience. Those are just a few of the tips and tricks I have for parents. Now let's talk about your employees. How does that transfer to the workplace? Because my employees, I'm going to hire the right people that are going to go and do the right job, and I'm going to just trust them to do that. But I'm also going to give them accountability. Here's the deadline for this new paper that we need to have done. Here's the deadline for this project that we've been working on and nobody seems to finish. Here's the deadline for this article that has to be put out on social media. Here's the deadline for the 4 calls that I need for you to make. And if you don't do that, I'm going to hold you accountable. I can tell you right now, I have a small office and we have people that work here and we do that and we hold people accountable and we check on Monday. We have a meeting and we talk about what did we get done, what did we not get done. I can also tell you that I don't nearly hold my children to that same standard. And that's just wrong because the principle behind how I act as a leader at the workplace and driving somebody to go ahead and exceed my expectations and showing them where the bar is really what great leaders do. And yet I continue to let my kids off the hook. I continue to not hold them completely accountable. Why? Because I want to protect them. And the reason I'm doing this podcast right now about this topic is it's so important for me to let you know that there are certain things to help equip your employees to do a good job. And there are certain things to help equip your son or daughter to do a great job and to really, have their college experience be amazing. So here's a couple crazy ones you may not have thought of. Let's see. Can your son or daughter, if they're going off to college, listen carefully, can your son or daughter do their own laundry? It's always amazing to me when I ask this question and ask the new students to raise their hand. How many of you do your own laundry? You'd be shocked how many have never done one load of laundry in their entire life. Here's another great one. I say, how many of you can make 1 or 2 really, really good meals that you love to eat only using a microwave? Now, that doesn't mean the one that you're going to make 4 or 5 times and you hate it and never want to eat it again. That doesn't, ramen noodles, yum. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a real meal. Oh, let's pretend that you actually have a stove. Can your son or daughter make the meal that they like the best? Can they make an amazing cheese omelet? If they're going to have 4 or 5 friends come over, are they able to make a pasta dinner for everyone? Again, you would be shocked at how many people say, no, they've never made a meal in their life. They have no idea. These are the kinds of things that are going to pay big dividends over the next 4 years if they come to school equipped with that. Here's another little one for you, by the way. If you have like somebody that's a junior or a senior in high school, I'm telling you these because these are things you want to make absolutely sure they're equipped with when they go off to college. Here's one more. I ask this for new students. I say, new students, raise your hand if you can tell me the definition of compound interest. I've got 20 kids out of 500 raise their hand. I said, oh, see these 20 with their hand up? All of you, you get to have a credit card. Everyone else in the audience, you don't get to have a credit card because you don't know what compound interest is. You don't know that you're going to buy a pizza tonight, pay the minimum on your credit card, and be paying for it for 17 months. That's called compound interest. So I share these things with you not to go down a deep rabbit hole, but I need for you to know there are real tangible things you can do in order to prepare your son or daughter to go off to college. And I had to share it with you because it's right top of mind with me right now. And what are some things you can do in the workplace to prepare that person that wants to be you sooner? That mentoring program, that time for lunch, what are the real things you do? What are the books that you've read? You know, I'm getting ready to go off, and if I told you the company, you'd know the name of the company, but it's a giant company, and I'm getting ready to go do a corporate retreat with them with a bunch of executives, and all of the executives received a book prior to our meeting, and I actually am going to get the book as well, and I'm going to read it because the day before my keynote speech, and I'm going to do breakouts and everything and do a whole day program, but the day before that, they're going to talk about the book and the principles behind that book. So everyone that's there, all 100 participants, are going to have read that book. I love that idea. I love that idea of we're all going to have a shared vision. We're all going to have a shared idea of a book, principles, and then we're going to talk about those and talk about how we can apply those. I also love that idea if I brought that home and I told my son, here are 3 books that I think really, encapsulate the way that I see the world. So for a business, it might be, we're going to read the book Good to Great. We're going to share the book, I don't know, an old one that used to be out, Who Moved My Cheese? Or how about Life at Performance Level by Curtis Zimmerman? Just kidding. People do that, of course. But what I'm telling you is that book for business is one thing, and then we can do the same thing for life. What's your life philosophy? What do you base your decisions on? Is there a book or an author or a podcast or a book on tape that you love to listen to that you should just turn your son or daughter into so that they can leave more equipped emotionally to go tackle the next chapter of their life? Just a few things I want you to think about. And the way you handle leadership and the way that you handle yourself at work should look very similar to the way that you handle leadership and the way that you handle love at home. Great leaders that I've met talk about love in the workplace and how if you have the vision of love and you have the vision of giving, you're going to be a great leader. And I would say the same thing goes true here. All right, now let's talk about the next 24 hours. This is my favorite part of the program. This is where I'm going to tell you specifically what I want you to change and do differently over the next 24 hours just to see what the impact is. So for the next 24 hours, I want you to treat your kids like your employees. I want you to hold them accountable. I want you to treat them as if they had real deadlines. Make them understand that what you say goes and embrace what they bring and tell them how great they are when they actually do achieve that goal or actually follow through with something that you've asked. Treat them like an employee for real. But here's the fun part. I also want you to think about how can you treat your employees like your kids? How can you look at them with love? How can you look at them and say, well, at least they tried their best? How can you look at them and say, wow, I know I've already said this to them, but I'm going to be really patient and I'm going to understand they're a human being and they might be struggling with this. And so I'm going to walk them through it again. I'm going to give them a little bit more of my time in order for them to have a better understanding of this principle, like you might with your kid. I also like the idea of you doing something like showing up for work with ices for everyone. My daughter Mirabelle loves ices. So I was thinking about it. It's so crazy. Hey, everyone, look what this morning I came with ices for everyone. That's just going way over the top, and that's where I like to live. I hope you keep living the dream. Thanks so much for listening. Hey, thank you for listening to the next 24 hours. It would mean a lot to me if you found this content today valuable, that you share it with your friends. Leave me a review. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to learn more about what I do, it's really simple. Just go to curtiszimmerman.com. Remember, in order to live the dream, you have to make the next 24 hours count. The clock is ticking.